In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 28 ways to make sure that you stay poor in your contracting business. The reason I am framing it this way is Charlie Munger gave a famous speech many times over on how to live a miserable life. This is called conversion thinking. Conversion thinking is where you take a problem and you don't look for solutions, but instead you look for all of the things that can cause you to fail or all of the problems. For example, if you want to lose weight, you don't want to think of how can I lose weight, but rather, if you want to use conversion thinking, you want to ask, how are all of the ways that I can stay fat?
What?
Then what you want to do is you want to list out all of the ways that you can think of to stay fat. Like for instance, eat junk food, never work out, never move, etc. We all know how to stay fat and how to get fat. Then what you want to do is once you have your list of all the ways to get fat, all you want to do is do the exact opposite. Pretty simple. The reason why this works is our brain is designed to look for problems and for threats, not necessarily designed to look for solutions all the time because we're designed to stay comfortable. So what we can do is if we're looking for ways to have problems and have threats, it's going to be a lot easier for us to figure out what to do in the opposite scenario, which is to get better. I've used this in all facets of my life, whether it's business, whether it's relationship, whether it's really anything when it comes to making life decisions and making your life better. I've used this and it works so well for me. So in this video, I'm going to use inversion thinking and tell you the 28 ways on how to stay poor in your contracting business. And then make sure you stick to the very end, because at the very end, we are going to flip everything in reverse super fast, super powerful, and then show you how we're going to use these 28 ways to stay poor to actually use the opposite of that, to use the 28 ways to stay rich. That's coming at the very end of the video, so make sure you stick to the end. I promise you, you will want to see this. If you don't know who I am, my name is Tyler Link. I own a concrete company and a landscape company that does a little over $4 million a year. And I also own a company called Concrete Launch Secrets, where I teach other concrete contractors how to scale their business to $3 million a year plus. I make these videos because I went through a lot of pain when I was starting to grow and run my business. And so I just want these videos to be helpful for hopefully someone out there so they can get to great success a lot easier and faster than what I was able to do it in my businesses. So without further ado, let's hop right into number one. All right, so number one thing that you want to do is just start tomorrow. Whether it's starting your company or starting a new marketing strategy or hiring the person that you've been putting off for a really long time, if you really want to stay poor in your contracting business, just make sure that you start it tomorrow, because that is a great way to stay poor. Number two is read a lot of books and probably take a lot of courses, but then don't use that information at all. I know it sounds crazy, but a lot of people, what they do is they spend their time all the time always looking to learn, and then once they learn, they really don't change their habits at all. So therefore, you really haven't learned at all. So if you want to stay poor as a contractor, make sure you spend all of your time learning and spend no time actually implementing all the things that you've learned, because that would be a great way to stay poor. All right, number three, take advice from other business owners or from other people who are either bad at business or who are poor themselves. I know when we're talking to a lot of people, everyone seems to have their own opinion. And the crazy part is most of the people that are giving us opinions are probably poor themselves. So what you want to do if you want to stay poor is you want to surround yourself with other poor people who give you their opinions on what has gotten them to where they've gotten in life, and then follow that. And then the great thing is if you follow their advice, then you will be poor too. All right, number four, and this is one of the most important things and one of the most important decisions that you can make in your life. But if you want to be poor, make sure that you find a spouse or partner who is going to judge you for working. What's crazy is a lot of people pick spouses even though they have really big dreams, and the spouse doesn't really align with what they want to do in life or the dreams that they have. And what will end up happening is because the spouse is always telling you don't work, instead, spend time with me, do this, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying to not do that. All I'm saying is you need to find a spouse that will support you in your dreams, because if not, guess what's going to happen? When you're poor, which you will be poor if your spouse is always telling you to do things that will basically make you poor instead of work, you will lament your spouse, right? You will not like them over time, and it will be a failed marriage, and it is not going to end well. So make sure if you want an unhappy life and to stay poor, make sure that you choose a spouse who is not aligned with your same vision of being rich and being successful and is not supportive of that. All right, number five, and I see so many contractors do this, or really just people in general, about all different types of life circumstances. Number five is fail once and then quit forever. I can't tell you guys how many times I talk to someone and they say, I tried Facebook ads and it didn't work, so therefore Facebook ads is broke. And I'm like, dude, you gotta be like, like I literally just laugh, right? Because do you ever think, like if you ever go fishing and maybe you're using the wrong baits or you're using the wrong hook or you went during the wrong time of day or the wrong time of year and then you didn't catch any fish, that would be like thinking, oh, because I did not catch any fish, fishing does not work. That's ludicrous, okay? And so this applies to not more than just marketing. It could be applied to sales, different types of jobs, different types of customers, etc. But if you want to stay poor, make sure that once you fail, that you don't actually think to try it again until you get really good at it, but make sure you just quit it forever and never get good at anything once you fail. Number 6, think the world is fair. So what you want to do if you want to stay poor is you want to always be blaming your circumstances for everything. What you want to do is you want to say, well, the world is supposed to be fair, and because it's supposed to be fair, you know, I'm being treated unfairly. And then what you should do is probably just think the whole world is against you, because that's how the world is, right? It's always against you and it's always totally fair. But in reality, things are not fair. So instead of wondering why they aren't fair, just assume that they're not supposed to be fair and then spend your time actually working and thinking of solutions versus wasting your time wondering why things aren't fair, because it's just not. Number 7 kind of goes hand in hand with number 6, which is blame your circumstances and also complain. Because here's the thing, the more time that we spend complaining and whining about our circumstances and why the world is so unfair, the more time that we're not going to be working and making money. So therefore, if we spend all of our time complaining, then we won't have money, which is great, right? Because we're trying to stay poor. All right, number 8 is expect others to save you. So what you want to do is you want to always be looking to the government to give you free things, or for other people to be giving everything that they possibly can to better your life, instead of looking at yourself as everything that you could be doing to better your own life. So if you want to stay poor in your contracting business, just make sure you're always looking at other people and all their faults and wonder why that they aren't giving you what you need, instead of focusing on what you can control and only worrying about all the things that you can influence. Number 9 is valuing the opinions of others rather than valuing your own opinion about your own life. You want to know one of the craziest things of life is you are actually successful the moment that you say you are. There are lots of really poor people who actually look at themselves as being very successful, and they look at themselves of being very successful because they live a life of value, right? They're very honest, they're very hardworking, they take care of their family, etc. There's also, on the complete other end of the spectrum, lots of billionaires who look at themselves as total failures, that they've wasted a whole entire life, that they haven't accomplished anything. And so the crazy thing is instead of listening to every other person on their values about your own life, what you need to do is focus about your own opinion and then realize that your own opinion, you could decide whatever you want to decide. You can be considered wealthy and successful right now, because there's people on the other side of the globe that would literally kill or do something very bad just to have what you have now. So what you want to do is focus on what you can control and focus on your own opinion versus comparing yourself to others either in the industry or in different industries and then thinking that you're a total failure. Number 10, in order to stay poor as a contractor, is to avoid discomfort. What you want to do is find something that might give you a little tiny bit, like a little ounce of success, and then you want to just stick to doing that for the rest of your whole entire life and never getting uncomfortable, because if you get uncomfortable, you just might grow, okay? So definitely don't want to do that if you want to make a lot of money. Diamonds are created under pressure. So whenever you get uncomfortable and you find yourself in a lot of pressure, instead of really worrying about that and really freaking out and being very stressed, realize that those hard times are what builds the character and builds your values, so that way you can accomplish the success that you want. So if you want to stay poor, make sure that you always play it safe, that you never get uncomfortable. That way you never grow. Number 11 is to tolerate mediocrity. And this one is one of the most powerful things that you would be able to do if you wanted to stay poor, is just surround yourself with a lot of really stupid people. What you want to do is make sure that whenever you're hiring someone or whenever you're surrounding yourself with people, that they really aren't, high achievers. Because here's the thing, if they're high achievers and they're doing really great things, they might just push you and you might just grow. And also on top of that, they might make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, because you might feel a little bit bad about yourself if you're surrounding yourself around really good people, right? If you look at all of the most famous business owners of all time, they are infamous for being ruthless. And they're not ruthless because they don't care about people. They are ruthless because they want to surround themselves with winners. They hold themselves to very high standards, and they expect their team and everyone around them to also be held to very high standards, because if you hold yourself to high standards and you create an example and you surround yourself with other people who do the same, you will have a big success in your contracting business. So if you want to stay poor, make sure that you're just tolerating the mediocre people. So number 12 is make promises and then break them. So what you want to do if you want to stay poor is promise in the market all types of things that you do not actually plan on fulfilling, because what you want to do is ruin your reputation, right? So if you're going to go ahead and make promises to others, make sure that you just break them, that you don't follow through. And even worse is make promises to yourself and don't keep them. Because here's the thing, even if you are doing good, you are the only person who's going to know the full truth. You know that you could have always tried harder. You could have made one more sales call. You could have called that person and given them thanks on your team, but you were just too tired to do it, right? So what you always want to be doing is making promises to yourself about how you're going to get better, or maybe you're going to make a 2023 New Year's resolution, or you're going to be doing something. So make the promise to yourself and then make sure not to keep it to avoid, moving forward and growing as a person. Number 13 is to wait for perfect conditions. So what a lot of people do is they waste all this time to either make a business move. Maybe they're waiting to hire another employee. Maybe they're waiting to raise their prices. Maybe they're waiting to start this perfect marketing strategy. And what they're waiting for is perfect market conditions. They tell themselves all these excuses. Well, the economy isn't the best right now, so therefore I'm gonna wait. Well, I'm already working pretty hard, and honestly, I don't know if I can take on all this stuff. So here's the thing, and a little secret that I want to tell you guys is the market is never gonna be perfect. Okay, I don't know if you guys heard that, but I'll just say it a little bit louder. But the market or your conditions are never going to be perfect. And here's the thing, even if conditions are perfect and everything lines themselves up, right? Like God just clears your whole entire schedule and you're like, holy shit, I have the next 1 month to do whatever the heck I want and achieve all these amazing things. If you start something under perfect conditions, here's another secret, is times are not always going to stay easy. So as soon as times get hard again, then you're probably going to fail because you didn't learn how to be successful during hard times. So if you want to be poor, then just wait for perfect conditions to make sure that you never build the strength that you need to survive and thrive during hard times. Number 14 is to prioritize looking rich over being rich. What you want to do if you want to stay poor is you want to kind of like a similar one, right? You want to value the opinions of others. You don't want to actually have a lot of money in your bank account. What you want to do is every single time that you get a little bit of money, you might want to just spend it, right? So that way you can make sure that you look really rich and you can get satisfaction from other people because you drive the nice car, you have the nice house, you have the boats, you have all the stuff. But then when it comes down to the end of the day, you have actually no money for you or in your business at all, okay? So if you want to stay poor, make sure that you're always buying things to make you look rich, but have no money in your bank account. Number 15, and this is something as humans that we have the biggest tendency to do, is avoid working on what matters most. Here's the thing, if you want to stay poor, the easiest way to do that is just keep working on the things that we're already working on, right? Because if we work on the things that we're already working on, guess what? We're probably going to get the same results. And what a lot of us tend to do is if we have these things on our to-do list that appear very hard and are going to make ourselves very uncomfortable, what we'll actually do is we'll find things to fill our time that are going to make us feel comfortable and make us look busy. And what we're basically just doing is trying to get busy to feel good about ourselves. But what we really should be doing is getting uncomfortable and focusing on whatever matters most, whether that's a new marketing strategy, whether that is hiring a new employee, whether that is changing your website, whatever it is. You're probably avoiding a lot of things that you don't like to do, and those things that you don't like to do are probably what you need to do in order to move your business forward. Number 16 is to say you're going to do something and then not do it. So this is similar to a previous one, so I don't think I'm going to go super into depth. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you want to stay poor, then just keep telling yourself you're going to do something and then just keep pushing it off, always procrastinate, and never actually move forward with what you told yourself you were going to do. Number 17 is do what other poor contractors do. Most contractors in your market are probably pretty dang poor, and most contractors around the United States are pretty poor too. So if you want to stay poor yourself, make sure you focus on the 95% of the contractors that are poor, and then don't pay any attention to the 5% of contractors that are absolutely killing it. And I'm not saying killing it just from a high revenue standpoint, but the people that are running the business actually have money in their banks and they actually make a solid profit. So if you want to stay poor, make sure you just keep doing what all the other poor contractors are doing so you can stay poor yourself too. Number 18 is to make the excuse that you're doing your best. Guess what, guys? The market doesn't care what your best is. Your customers don't care what your best is. No one cares what your best is, okay? So if you're always making the excuse, well, I'm doing my best, I'm working my hardest, blah, 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 what you have to realize is your best doesn't matter. All that really matters is that you are doing the things that you need to be doing to be successful. So stop doing your best and literally just do the things you have to do to be successful. Stop making that excuse for yourself, because we all know in our heads, one, that we can get better, but also if you make that excuse for yourself, you're probably not going to take the actions that you need to really progress. Number 19 is to talk more and do less. So we as humans have this huge tendency to always want to brag and make ourselves look better than what we're actually doing. So what we want to do is spend a lot of time trying to prove to other people why you're so successful. You want to go to parties, and instead of asking people questions and learning from them, what you want to do if you want to stay poor is always be bragging, right? You never want to listen to others and always be learning from them. Is you always want to be talking about, oh, I do this and that and blah, 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 and always bragging. When instead, if you really want to not be poor, what you should be doing is using these and not this, right? You want to be listening to others and learning from others and not talking so much about yourself, because one, guess what? People don't really care about what you're doing. But two is if you want to get better and not be poor, you need to do more of this and learning other people's superpowers and less of this. Number 20 is if you want to be poor, always be starting something new. So the moment that you find something that's successful, like say for instance, you just realize you made a lot of money doing a driveway, you should probably just pick up something new. Like maybe you should start painting houses, or maybe you should start doing roofs. Because here's the thing, if you want to stay poor, just make sure you never really master one individual thing, but instead you try to be a jack of all trades, because if you're a jack of all trades, surely you're going to make more money, right? Well, here's the thing. If you want to stay poor, always be starting stuff new, never master your one individual craft. Number 21, what you want to do is believe what other people think of you and not believe what you think about yourself. It's pretty self-explanatory, so I don't need to explain that too much, but if you want to stay poor, just make sure you do just that. Number 22 is make sure you make a lot of mistakes and then wait, and then make sure you make those same mistakes over and over and over again, so that way you can make sure that you always stay poor. What we have to remember is the same action always leads to the same result. It's kind of like if you're baking, right? If you're baking and for some reason your bread never turns out right, and what you keep doing is the same exact recipe, instead of just trying to fix the recipe of what's broke, you should just keep doing the exact same thing that you've been doing so you can guarantee you get the same crappy results. Number 23 is to be replaceable. Make sure that you are not exceptional in your market and that really your customers can go with your competition and it won't really make a difference. Make sure you do the same exact sales process, the same exact customer service process, and you sell the same exact product. So that way, if your customer is trying to make an educated decision, it doesn't really matter if they go with you or your competition. So that way, the only thing that you can do to compete with them is to be really, really cheap. So if you want to stay poor, just make sure you be replaceable and you don't get really good at all the nuances of business. Number 24, if you want to be poor, then just do the same amount of work as everyone else and just do it for less money. It makes sense, right? If we want customers to buy for us, we just have to do the same exact thing as all of our competition, except we have to do it for less money. And yes, that might be what sounds good, but what you have to realize is all the people that you're undercutting on price are probably actually poor themselves. And guess what? If you charge less money than them, unless you have some secret sauce or competitive advantage, you're probably gonna be more poor than them. Number 25 is you want to find something that works and then you want to completely stop doing it. So I know a lot of us are really guilty out there. Let's just say if we're really struggling with money and we have no money to make payroll. And then if we're struggling to make payroll, we do this like crazy thing and then miraculously come up with all this money. Maybe we make a bunch more sales calls than what we typically do. Or maybe we start marketing in a totally different way, but we generate all this money because we're placed in a situation where we absolutely have to do it. And what's crazy is then you realize that every time that you actually have to make money, that you can, and then what you realize is when you don't have to make money, you're not doing those same things that got you that result in the very first place. So if you want to stay poor, is once you find something that is working for you, whether it's more sales calls, whether it's selling the right type of product or service, whatever that is, but if you want to stay poor, just do that only in times where you're in absolute desperate need and don't keep doing it even though you already have proven that it works. Number 26 is kind of like what we talked about before, but you want to make sure you hire really, really dumb people. Make sure that when you're hiring, you really don't spend very much time on it, because God forbid you actually spend time and find really good finishers or really good tradesmen or really good office staff or a really good salesperson. Make sure you don't invest any time or money into it and you find really stupid people, so that way you could feel really good about yourself knowing that you're the smartest person in your company. But that would also be a great way to stay poor and never make sure that you're progressing. Number 27 is to assume that you are always right. How many people are like this, where they hear something coming from someone that is more successful from them, and instead of really listening and trying to digest what they're saying and trying to make sense of it in your brain, what you want to do is you want to always assume that you are right. Because here's the thing, right? Whatever you've done in your life has gotten you to exactly where you are. And so if someone is trying to help you, maybe that is a little bit more advanced or a little bit further along than you, what you want to do is shut all of their ideas down, don't listen to them, and just assume that you're right. The very last thing on our list here is to first make money and then just increase your spending to make sure that you never actually keep it. So this is the absolute easiest way to stay poor as a contractor, is every single time that you actually make money in your business, make sure that you just basically blow it on stupid things that aren't bringing more money back. That way, every single time that you're making more money, you just end up spending it and spending more money, and that way there's never any money left over in your bank account at the very end of the year. So to sum this up, is the reason why we want to use inversion thinking versus just thinking about our problems in the standard way, which is you're looking for solutions, is because our brain is wired to find problems and threats much better than it is wired to find solutions. So when you think about your contracting business, instead of always thinking about the ways that you can get better as a contractor or make more money or this or that, what you want to do is think about all the problems that you could possibly do to completely destroy your business and make sure you're not making any money in your business. And then what you want to do is the exact opposite of what you wrote down. And I know it sounds kind of crazy, but here's the thing. A lot of us do a lot of the things that are on this list, and I'm not saying that I don't do these too, because I do these problems all the time, but I'm always conscious of trying to make sure that I'm getting better and better as a business owner and as a leader over time. And I use this method in order to help me as like a tool, basically in my tool belt. All right, so if you want to hear the 28 things to reprogram your mind to be rich in your contracting business, let's just do the exact opposite of all the 28 things that we talked about in this video. So here we're gonna go through the whole entire list really fast, so make sure that you're listening and paying attention. All right, so the very first thing that we need to do is, instead of starting tomorrow, just start today. Do not procrastinate. Make sure that you're just doing everything you need to do today versus tomorrow. Read lots of books and take tons of courses, but instead of not implementing anything, maybe read or learn a little bit less and implement everything that you possibly can. Stop being as much of a learner and stop being a hyper implementer. Stop taking advice from poor people and from poor business owners, and instead only seek advice from people who have already proven that they have gotten the exact type of result that you want to achieve. Pick a spouse that will absolutely love you and support you and help you accomplish your dreams versus being stuck with someone that is not going to support doing what you want to do. Fail once, but keep going until it is absolutely unreasonable for you to be good at that. Think the world is unfair and act accordingly. Do not complain and do not worry when things are not going your way, and don't care if these circumstances unfair. Only focus on the things that you can control and move forward from there. Rely on yourself and yourself only to make changes in your life. Stop looking to other people to make your life better for you. Instead, only focus on what you can control as yourself and as a business owner. Value your own opinion and do not care what other people think of you, okay? Do the best you could possibly do and only care about how you are working as a person, as your own progress. It does not matter what other people think of you or how you compare to other people, because it is your own journey and that is totally okay. Always be seeking discomfort, okay? Always be looking for ways to get uncomfortable and therefore grow. Do not tolerate mediocrity and always only tolerate absolute excellence. And that is for not only just yourself, but for all the people that you surround yourself with. Because here's the thing, you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if you're always tolerating mediocrity, you're never gonna be around the type of people that are going to push you to the next level. So only tolerate excellence between yourself and the people that you surround yourself with. Make promises and then keep them. Make sure that if you make a promise to yourself or to someone else, that you uphold your reputation within your market, but then also more importantly, that if you make a promise to yourself, make sure you see it out. Because here's the thing, you're only gonna make a promise to yourself about something that you're going to do better. Like, I'm going to be better at marketing, I'm gonna be better at sales, I'm gonna be a better husband, I'm gonna be a better spouse. Whatever it is that you're promising yourself, make sure that you actually keep it. Don't wait for perfect conditions and act now. Because here's the thing, if you act now, you will gain the skills and the values that you need to accomplish in even the roughest of circumstances. So don't let your circumstances determine whether or not you're gonna proceed. Just proceed and figure out how to be successful no matter what the circumstances are. Prioritize being rich over looking rich. That means only care about what can actually make you money. Don't be as concerned with other people's opinions about you and looking rich, because in the end, that really doesn't matter. Spend all of your time working on the things that matter the absolute most, even if you absolutely hate it. That doesn't mean you have to do it yourself, but you could look to others, professionals that can help you, whether it's your marketing, whether it's your sales, whether it's your business management, whether it's your leadership. Even if it feels uncomfortable, always spend your time on what will move the needle the absolute most. When you say you're gonna do something, then do it. Don't do what other poor contractors do, and instead study the very few successful people in your industry and make sure they are actually learning from people who have accomplished financial success. Make sure you're not taking advice from people who really don't know what they're talking about. Don't do your best, just do whatever it takes. Your best really does not matter, so just know that you're gonna have to do whatever it takes, whether it's your best or not. Just know that really, if you give your best, it doesn't matter at all. You wanna talk less and do more. Always be focusing on your own actions and learning and listening from others. Stop talking about yourself and bragging about what you're doing, because one, no one cares, and two, if you're talking, then you're not doing what's more important, which is listening. Don't start anything new, and just focus on what you're doing right now and become unreasonably good at it. Stop thinking the grass is greener on the other side and just focus up and get good at what you actually are doing right now. Don't believe what other people think of you and only focus on your own opinion about yourself. Make a mistake and learn from it, and then never repeat that mistake again. Use your failures as learning lessons and make sure to never repeat the same thing. Be irreplaceable. Make sure you stand out in your market. Be exceptional. Have exceptional customer service. Have an exceptional product. Have an exceptional warranty. Have an exceptional sales process, and be an exceptional leader. Stop always thinking on lines of being mediocre. Focus on being absolutely great and make yourself irreplaceable in the market. Stop doing the same projects and charging less money. Instead, charge what you're worth and just become more valuable. Once you find something that works, just repeat it over and over and over again and increase your volume so you can multiply your success. Instead of hiring dumb people, hire really smart people who can actually propel your business forward. Never assume you're right, and always be seeking to learn from people that are smarter and have done something you might not have been able to accomplish yet. And once you make money, make sure that you do not increase your living situations. Like, don't go and buy a bigger house or a more fancy truck or something for literally no reason. Once you make money, get good at actually saving. It does not matter on how much money you make. It only matters on how much money you keep. So with all that being said, I really hope that this video helps someone out there. I hope that you guys can use some of these things and transform your business. As always, make sure you guys like this video if you guys liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you want more contractor and specifically concrete business tips. And that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Love you guys. See you guys in the next video.